Of all the martial arts masters you'd never want to mess with, the Shaolin Monk has to be at the top. Shrouded in mystery, the Shaolin Monastery gets its name from the legendary Chinese temple perched atop Mount Shaosh. For 1,500 years, these monks have been training some of the strongest individuals in China in every aspect of their lives. Their mental and physical strength are often considered superhuman. As for their emotions, well, that's still a mystery to us. Most of us know Buddhism as a peaceful religion with principles of nonviolence. So how did the monks of the Shaolin Temple become some of the best fighters in the world? The answer lies in the rich history of the monastery, which faced threats of collapse multiple times from different empires. These monks had to learn the skills of a warrior, the most important of which was survival. But the real question is, just how strong are these monks? Well, we're about to find out. But before anything else, let's point out that none of these stunts should be tried at home. Iron palm. The Shaolin monks boast 72 different techniques for toughening their bodies, and slicing bricks in two is one of them. Martial arts is about learning the limits of the mind and body and how to go beyond it. Surely you've seen videos of some bald-headed guy doing this before. Monks dedicate years to strengthen their ligaments and tension, enabling them to smash through solid objects. Yet, the true key seems to lie in one's relationship with pain and their capacity to accept and endure it. This journey of physical and mental fortitude continues to captivate and inspire admirers worldwide. Walking on water. We all thought walking on water was reserved for biblical scriptures until these extraordinary monks came along and demonstrated it themselves. Just a few years ago, a remarkable monk accomplished the seemingly impossible task of running 125 meters across a water reservoir in Fujian City. It took him 6 attempts to master the feat. Prior to his performance, workers installed a runway over the water's surface using plywood boards that were less than 1 centimeter thick. The sinking boards were a visible testament to the challenge. To maintain balance, the monk extended his arms, channeled strength into his toes, and sprinted at top speed. This monk would never have any problems tiptoeing to bed at night. Needle throwing. In case you needed some motivation to finally get those double-glazed windows, here it is. One of the most difficult of the 72 Shaolin arts is the practice of throwing a needle through glass. This skill involves insane strength, coordination, and precision. It takes over 10 years to master. A balloon is often held behind the glass, indicating that the throw was successful as the balloon pops before the needle even bounces back. It's an incredible feat which your average Joe could never replicate, even with several attempts at close range. To understand how difficult it is for a tiny object to break glass, you need to know that glass is even less prone to microscopic cracks than steel. It does not crack from a simple touch, making the surface very hard to break. Let's just say if you're a darts athlete watching this, you're lucky these guys never opted to participate in a competition. Iron fingers. We've all seen gymnasts perform handstands before. Pretty impressive, right? Well, if that wasn't cool enough for you, wait till you see these Shaolin monks do it on just 2 fingers. That's right, 2-finger Zenist Kung Fu is one of the Shaolin arts and requires an insane amount of strength, concentration, and dedication. To perform this feat, a monk must be in a deep state of Zen meditation, as there's a strong risk of breaking their index fingers. Monks start by pressing their fingers on a hard surface with constant pressure, gradually increasing it over time. Eventually, these warriors reach the point where they can swiftly poke indentations into tree bark, sometimes as deep as 5 centimeters. The force they can generate with their fingers alone is just mind-blowing, and you definitely don't want to be on the receiving end when that happens. Iron throat. Shaolin masters go to extreme lengths to strengthen every part of their body, and that includes their throats too. How useful is this on the battlefield? Nobody really knows. But whether it prevents you from getting your butt whooped or not, this feat is no less impressive than any of the others. Throat training involves exercises like repetitively hitting one's throat against a thick stick, turning one of the most fragile parts of their body into a nearly indestructible shield. Some monks not only withstand the blow of a stick on their throat, but can even break it upon impact. Still believe that these guys are ordinary humans? Wait till you find out that some of them hang themselves by their necks for 20 minutes without breathing. This is one of the feats some are able to achieve through throat strengthening and requires years of dedicated training and an incredible tolerance for pain. It's also essential to point out that very few Shaolin masters can actually do this. Martial arts training. At the Shaolin Temple, 400 monks live and train, with a quarter of them being warrior monks. Reaching the level of mastery expected by the Shaolin Temple takes years of dedication. Imagine facing a panel of senior monks, having to prove your kung fu skills and your knowledge of Buddhist teachings. Each monk is guided by a mentor who helps them choose a kung fu style to specialize on. One popular choice is the monkey stick, where monks perform tricks like the monkey going up the tree. This involves hooking both feet onto the stick, letting go with their hands, and catching the stick before it hits the ground. Strength, balance, and total concentration are key. When it comes to the examination, monks come up with a strict kung fu routine they must execute perfectly. But the physical feats are not all. They are also asked to recite passages from Buddhist scriptures by memory. Examiners have the freedom to pick any passage from the 200-page book of mantras, so monks must know it all by heart. The Shaolin Temple is China's top examination center for aspiring monks, attracting apprentices from all over the country each year. The abbot, along with 3 senior monks, judges these exams. Over a decade of training comes down to this moment, and the standards are incredibly high. Movements must be matched with stillness, and no matter how well they perform in kung fu, if they fail to recite the scriptures accurately, all those years of training could amount to nothing.
对吧？用的心，希望你下一次能够通过。
Through all these testaments, monks are trained to show no emotion even when facing failure. Succeed, and they become full Shaolin warrior monks. Fail, and it's another 3-year wait to try again. Those who pass spend the rest of their lives studying, training, and meditating on their path to enlightenment. It's a journey that requires immense discipline, but for those who make it, the rewards are beyond measure. Shaolin Kids. Tongzi Gong, or Kung Fu mastered in childhood, is a form of Shaolin martial arts that kids start practicing as early as age 4. See these kids? Adorable, right? Well, you definitely don't want to mess with them. You might be curious how these little warriors end up at the temple in the first place. The reasons vary. One kid mentioned how his grandma told him they were going to a park to play with some other kids. Surprise, they ended up at the temple. I guess he wasn't lying, but he probably didn't expect to be twisting around trees like Christmas lights a few days later. Education is not forgotten in the Shaolin Temple. The kids have culture classes in the late morning where they dive into Chinese history and calligraphy. At such a young age, they already know how to clear their minds and find inner peace. These kids aren't just learning to kick and punch, they're learning to balance, focus, and meditate. It's tough being away from their parents, and visits only take place for emergency purposes or once a year during winter. The discipline they build from such a young age, however, is seen as a foundation for the rest of their lives. The dedication is intense, with the pain they have to go through even being considered controversial. One thing's for sure, they will grow to be some of the strongest people on the planet. The world of Shaolin monks is as fascinating as it is mysterious. We know of their jaw-dropping feats, and we've got all the footage to prove it. But just like magicians and their props, the ability to stage a trick is an art in itself. Could these monks also be very good illusionists? Some performances, such as synchronized martial arts, are undeniably spectacular, but when it comes to certain tricks, such as the iron spear, some may question how sharp these spears actually are. This is yet another reason to not try these stunts at home. That being said, it's safe to say these monks have shown us just how incredible humans' capabilities can be when we push ourselves beyond our comfort zones. The true essence of Shaolin mastery is not about overcoming pain, but embracing it as a part of our lives.